Hi everyone, I'm making you another screencast video so that I can explain the directions for reading response number 4. And just like the previous reading responses, I have some required reading for you and some writing so that you can respond to these. And I'm always trying to introduce you to literacy strategies. Again, some of these have been around for a long time, so I know some of you have used these before, and for some of you they may be new. I want to introduce another favorite strategy of mine. It's called Save the Last Word for Me. I actually have the citation all the way at the bottom. It's adapted by Kathy Short, Jerome Harsty, and Carolyn Burke. I actually know all three of these scholars in a variety of ways, and they are fantastic mentor teachers to me. You can see that they wrote about this in 1996. I actually read this text back then and loved this idea and implemented it right away when I was a middle school teacher with my 8th graders and had a lot of success. So I know that this strategy can help us make meaning of the reading that's coming up, but I also hope that you can try this with your students and, of course, adapt it as it's appropriate for the grade levels that you work with. So I know you have a lot of reading in this course, and again, as literacy professionals, we have to read. I read easily 700 pages a week from various things, from the research to children's literature, just trying to stay up with everything. But I also know that you are preparing for your book study group. So for this week, I have 2 columns, required, and you are jumping into the Kathy Toll book. This is the other book that I had you purchase, different from the Jennifer Allen, which is your study group. This is the Kathy Toll. And you're going to be reading chapter 3, 4, and 5 for this response. So chapter 3, 4, and 5, that's what's required. I also have attached 3 PDFs, and I'm calling them suggested articles. Again, I know that you are all super busy, and I just want you to have these in your file. If you are in a situation right now where you can't get enough of these readings and you have a little extra time, then albeit, please read these now. They'll only help you understand, or at least skim them. They'll only help you have a deeper understanding of literacy coaching. So again, part of what I struggle with is you pay a lot of money and you are here to get the most robust education you can get. And I also, though, need to be very considerate of your time. And that's why I want to give these extra articles for those of you that are able to do so and read them. And even if you can't read them now, at least they're in your file so you can read them at another time. Like I've shared, former students still email me, and one of my former students actually is now, she just took a literacy coaching job, and these articles, she wants them again because now her reality is different. So that's why I have these 2 columns. But for this assignment, the only expectation I have is that you complete these. So I hope when you see all these, your anxiety didn't go up. But look them over if you have time. Okay, so what is the writing? How do I want you to make meaning is, again, using this strategy. And save the last word for me. So I want to share a couple dimensions about it for our purposes, and also if you were to do this, how I used it in my own classroom when I was face-to-face with my students. So when you go through these chapters, you want to find 2 quotes, either from chapter 3, 4, or 5. And again, for those of you that are really struggling with the amount of reading, obviously I'm only holding you accountable to get 2 quotes from one of these. So I understand, and again, I'm asking for the integrity of the assignment that you do read all 3, because they will only help you throughout the other papers and throughout this course. But I'm only requiring you to find 2 quotes from either of these chapters from Kathy Toll's book. Write down those word-for-word direct quotes that caught your attention, and you put the quote, and I have a visual here. Now I call it note card because note card is, I'm only emphasizing the size and the length. Obviously, some quotes are a little bit longer, but it should fit on the size of thinking like a 5 by 4 card, and or 5 by 7 like index card. And then on the front, so when I was teaching my middle school students, they would write their quote on the front of the card, and then on the back of the card, they would write their reaction. And I want to hear your personal voice. This might be maybe because of that quote you have, and sorry, this is a little bit small. Let me blow this up a little bit. But can you see right here? You're going to write your reaction. You're either going to bring up a new question or a comment. Maybe you agree or disagree with the quote that you found. You want to be brief, again, no longer than the size of a note card, because I'm stressing writing with economy here, but definitely enough meat so that I know that you thought deeply about the quote. Maybe you just have a personal connection to the quote and you want to share an example or story out of your life of why that quote is powerful. Again, any of these prompts would suffice. Also, I forgot to mention, when you write down the quote, let's say you found an amazing quote that you connected with from Kathy Toll's chapter 4. You want to write the chapter, the quote, and then the page number, or just at least the page number. That's important so that I know exactly where you got that quote. Even though I'm pretty familiar with this book, it's nice to see the page number. So, okay, so going back to the first step, you are only finding a total of 2 quotes from either of these chapters. Write down your quote on the front, what I call the front side. Now, obviously, we're not face-to-face. I'm not actually going to have you write in the front and back. You can do it all on one page. So if you think about this is a Microsoft Word document. Let me open up a new one. You might write your quote right here, and then the quote fits there, and then your reaction here, okay? Because you're doing this digitally and turning it into me, that is fine. But notice, I left, an adequate amount of space, but we're not talking pages here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, if you physically want to use note cards, that is also fine. Go for it. But one of the challenges is just make sure that you take good photographs of your cards, because again, you are submitting your quotes to me because you want to turn this in on La Lima. But I've had students do that before. They actually wanted to write this down on actual note cards, what I call old school, and then they just took photos. Okay, so then again, the second is, I've already kind of skipped to this one. You want to write your reaction. And then when we get to class, so the day that this is due, I'm going to have you get into small groups, and we're a small class already. We might even do it with the whole class. We'll see once we get there. You're going to share your quote. And how this will work, I'll go over it more in class, so don't worry about now, but I will have you share a quote, and everyone is going to react to your quote, and then you get the last word, and hence why this is called Save the Last Word for Me. So after you share the quote, everyone will be able to, so have your book handy, so bring your Kathy Toll text to class, and when someone reads their quote, you'll be able to turn to that page number, find the quote, and then you'll have a little bit of time to think about what the quote maybe means to you. Everyone will share, and then the person who brought the quote will share last why they selected it and what was going on as they were making meaning of that quote. Okay? So these are the directions a little bit what's needed once we get to class. Oops, and I just saw a typo. This should be, not sure how that happened. That should be step number 5. Sorry about that. It'll be fixed when you see it in your document. Okay, so again, you can read through this. That's what happens when we get there. I can't wait to see your comments or your quotes and your comments to Kathy Toll's chapter. And I think that is it. That should, if there are any other further questions or explanations needed for reading response number 4, please never hesitate to email me or text message me or call me. Thanks, everyone.